7 people died in just 2 or 3 days from drowning in beaches in South Florida. And the reason they drowned is because they ignored the warning signs about strong undertow. Now, this is very, very sad. And you can probably imagine, or even know, if you've lost someone close to you, how their family might feel. And also how scary that might be for people who want to go swim at the beach and are now worried about the undertow because other people have drowned, died, gone from this earth in life forever. We've only got one shot. And this is something I looked at not too long ago when I was doing some research for a book about ghost hunting, advanced ghost hunting techniques in Miami. And I've since finished and published that. And it reminds me, however, about how this new movement is spreading amongst people who are in the know about the interest graph in social media. But even more exciting, well, equally exciting because it's parallel to that, is just how exactly that can be used to fuel your success. You see, a lot of people are wondering why they can't get ahead and why they feel so distracted. It's because of your master playlist. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean that basically, to sum it up, what I teach as a clinical hypnotist, a master hypnotist or hypnotherapist, depending on what title feels best for you, for someone like me who graduated with a degree in clinical hypnosis and has been practicing for 20 years. Whatever title you want to use, but from that perspective, I see how parallel now this interest graph that all social media is running on, what Gary Vaynerchuk calls the TikTokification of social media, which basically, depending on how you use it or not use it, whether it's deliberate or whether it's by default, a playlist basically is created for you, or you create the playlist. You see, what has happened now with social media, with technology, with AI, but specifically with social media, is that I look at it now as the technology is really acting like a glorified high-tech playlist creation software, because it will feed you content according to what you are spending the most time on. And therein lies the secret to your success and the way to free yourself from distraction, is that if you can muster up a little bit of discipline to continue to deliberately and intentionally curate your content by spending time on looking at the things that serve your best interest in happiness, health, and wealth, and to filter out and swipe away from and mute the things that do not serve your best interests, then you will build up a momentum in which the artificial intelligence-based algorithms on social media will feed you more content like that which is serving your best interest for happiness, health, and wealth. And you may have missed it because it is super simple, however difficult it may be, because it requires a great amount of discipline. And why did I bring up that sad, tragic, scary story about people drowning in South Florida? Well, because the same thing happens on social media if you're not careful. You'll get pulled away by the undertow, the strong undertow of distraction, when if one little element in one of the videos that you're watching from some value creator has some element in it that the artificial intelligence calculates to be something you're interested in just because that element happens to be in that video and you spent 30 minutes watching it, it'll act like an undertow and pull you away from those things which are life-saving, if you will, from those things which in where you were swimming. Instead, now you're drowning and doom scrolling and getting lost. And so it's up to you to heed those warning signs. As soon as you feel like your time is slipping away, as soon as you know that this is not something that's serving your best interest, and you can feel it when it starts to slip away, when something comes in and distracts you and starts you down that path, that rabbit hole that is not serving your best interest of happiness, health, and wealth. You know it, and it's up to you to heed those warning signs and to grab that lifeline or call that lifeguard, right, which is basically just the analogy of getting back on track, right, to what kind of content is serving your best interests. In that way, you create a playlist, because this is one of the best and most simplest ways to describe it. That's exactly what's happening. It's a little bit more fluid of a playlist because it's not set in stone unless you actually use something like YouTube and you create a playlist, or there's many places where you can save and then you have a bunch of videos, for example, on Instagram, and other places where you can save them or favorite them, and then you can go to that saved or favorite list and then you can only look at those things, which is actually a good idea in the beginning, right? To start saving and favoriting those things and going to those lists and looking at it, so it sort of makes a little bit of a bubble that you can stay inside if you feel like you can't swim out in the deep sea, where the undertow is more likely to take you under, to use that analogy again. But both of them are scary. Maybe one more than the other, or maybe equally. To me, I know that it is really scary to miss the opportunity to make the best of myself, and to feel like I'm going to leave this world not having made the most of myself while I'm here. Life may seem long sometimes, but it's really short. We may sometimes feel like we're in a rush to get somewhere, but we really should savor the moment. And some of those things may be lost in us because they sound like cliches or they sound like palliatives and things like that, but it's the truth. We really need to be present in the moment, practicing the discipline to focus on the things that are going to serve our best interests in happiness, health, and wealth, because ultimately, the better we are for those around us as well. And so, it is up to us to program our playlist, sometimes more exactly and literally than others, but we have to be focusing our attention on making sure that the content we're consuming is in alignment with us becoming the best versions of ourselves. This is how the social media algorithms, which are based on and run by artificial intelligence, are now operating. It's so close to our real life because as a clinical hypnotist, I know that this is the way that we do it offline. A client comes in with an issue, like I like to call them pets, personal exploration topics. They come to us with a pet. We interview them, and then we give them a clinical hypnosis session by inducing hypnosis, relaxing them, taking them through a progressive relaxation, an arm levitation induction technique, and then a deepening technique, and then we deliver suggestions, and then we reawaken or re-arouse them back into the waking world. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes open, wide awake. And then we give them a recording of the session, or another type of recording, or some literature to read, and or a string to tie around their finger, or a rubber band to put around their wrist, or the instructions to tug on their ear and say a key word, an anchor word, or to touch their nose, or something, some ritual to continue to put before them the information that is necessary to help them stay in alignment with their goals and desires. In the same way that we do it offline, now the technology can help us do it a little bit more on autopilot, but we have to build that momentum. We have to use our discipline. And in creating that playlist, we will create a better life.